Podcasts. Series 1, Real Lives. Podcast 5, DJ Olu, Ivozi Music Man, Part 1. Hi, my name's James from Ivozi.com. In this episode of Real Lives, I head into Barcelona for a beer with our old friend from London, DJ Olu. It was certainly an interesting podcast. From his life in a Californian commune to his love of older women, DJ Olu tells all. So, let's go straight to Plaza Bon Success, where we're sitting outside at a cafe table early on Saturday evening, the streets full of Christmas shoppers.
Okay, let's begin. Now, as we know, DJ Olu's real name is Essien. Can I say, without sounding gay, that it's a beautiful name? Tell us about it.
Thank you, you can say that. It was the name of my mother's grandfather, one of his names. My brother has the other name as his middle name. I decided to use my middle name as my first name because I believed that it sounded more serious. And I wanted people to take me more seriously.
Yeah. Has it worked?
Has it worked? Well, now I'm not so into being serious.
Okay.
So I've kind of backtracked on my name change a bit. And now I use Essien in a serious situation if I'm working, and Olu if I'm doing something with music or socially.
Okay. We'll say Essien. I think it's a beautiful name. But what language is it? Doesn't sound familiar. Where's it from?
A Nigerian language. Both of them are Nigerian names. But yeah, it's a Nigerian language from my mother's tribe, which is Efik.
Excellent. So, your family are originally from Nigeria.
Yes.
Do you feel an affinity with Nigeria and Africa in general?
When Nigeria are playing football,
yeah,
I do feel an affinity.
Yeah.
And if Nigeria are playing England...
tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky, but with the predominance of Chelsea scum in the England team, led by the England captain John Terry, I wouldn't find it so difficult to support Nigeria.
Okay. So, you graduated with a law degree from one of the best universities in England, King's College. We'd all agree with that. But why aren't you a lawyer?
Because I never wanted to be a lawyer. I never even wanted to study law. I studied law because my parents wanted me to.
Yeah.
I wanted to study Greek and Latin. I was really into classics, and I did that for 7 years at school.
Wow.
And I wanted to do it at university, and my parents, both of them were like, no, that's enough of this classic stuff. What are you going to do with it? Be a priest?
You didn't want to be a priest.
Well, I thought about it, and I probably said, oh, maybe I do want to be a priest.
You didn't like the limited wardrobe, though.
Well, I thought that maybe I could do something like that, but in the end I thought, well, I could still be a priest with a law degree.
Yeah, you'd be one mean priest. Okay, now your profile states that you spent several years on a spiritual journey. Does this mean that you just smoked a lot of pot and thought too much? Or was it really a spiritual journey?
It was a spiritual journey. I didn't smoke pot for the whole of this time.
But quite a lot of it. No, sorry, that's completely unfair, no.
Actually, I had to give it up.
Yeah.
I had 1 year from joining this organisation to give it up.
Okay.
And I did, and I smoked nothing, and I learnt to...
Good, because at Vozi.com we disapprove of pot. Sorry, continue, please.
And I learned to get this feeling that you can get from pod or something like that. I learned to get it myself, just to find the peace myself.
Interesting. Perhaps you'll share that technique with us later. Okay, one of many interesting things about you, Olu, and you just briefly alluded to it, is that you lived in a commune in California. What exactly is a commune?
Well, it's a community that to some extent is self-governed.
Okay, how many people were in the commune?
At any one time, there would be maybe 600-700 people there.
What? That's less a commune, more a town.
Yes, it was.
Now, you may have seen on my Facebook page yesterday, I proudly posted a Gloria Estefan video, which goes something like, I don't wanna lose you now. No, I better stop there. Do I have crap taste in music?
Well, I believe that crap taste in music, that's a harsh thing to say to somebody.
Especially about Gloria Estefan.
She's very popular and she's quite cute. And both of these things are important.
You like women in their 50s then? Are you referring to her in the video of I don't wanna lose
in the video?
You? Okay.
In the video, she was
yeah.
Yes, she was quite cute.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah, it's acceptable.
Yes, it's totally acceptable. Okay. And also, what I try and do with the music blog is not to.
What's your music blog called? Sorry.
Happenstance Radio.
Happenstanceradio.com or just.
happenstanceradio.blogspot.com.
Okay. Carry on.
I tried to show people music that they didn't know they were looking for.
Wow.
And the point with that is everybody likes different kinds of music and everybody's taste is okay, but they might not know that they like something. So for the Gloria Estefan fans, there's something else for them that they can find on the blog.
Classic Radio 4 question. That's a radio station in Britain, BBC. If you were on a desert island and could only take 3 albums, what would they be, Olu?
Wow.
Only 3.
3 albums.
Yeah. And don't say various artists. You know, they have to be by one artist, each one.
Okay. I would take an album by Sufjan Stevens.
By who?
Sufjan Stevens.
Cat Stevens, you mean?
No, Sufjan Stevens. He is American.
Okay.
He's from Chicago.
Yeah.
And he made an album called Illinois.
Yeah.
And it was part of a project that he has abandoned where he was going to make an album about every state in America. But he was
going to make
an album.
One album or like...
One album per state.
Jesus Christ, thank God he didn't.
Yeah. And he did Michigan.
Yeah.
And then he did Illinois.
Yeah.
And this album, and then he stopped, unfortunately. This album is definitely my favorite album of the last 10 years. Possibly my favorite album ever. It's a beautiful indie folk album which reminds me of...
That was a local beggar, by the way, trying to get a cigarette. That's called scabbing in English. Sorry, tell us more about...
This album, it reminds me of Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
But it's...
In a good way.
In a good way. It's in a good way, but it's more positive. It's like a positive Bob positive Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I.e. Bob Dylan without the angst.
Bob Dylan without the angst.
Yeah.
But is Bob Dylan anything without his angst? Do you know what? I'm bluffing. I have no idea. I've always hated Bob Dylan. I have no idea. But anyway, you're second, then you got another two.
Yeah.
Queen's
So-
Greatest Hits, that's what popped into my mind.
Portishead's new
Portishead,
album.
yeah.
Portishead's new album, third. I think it's amazing, and it's amazing that they could come back after 10 years. What the lead guy, Jeff Barrow, I think, said about what they were trying to do with the sound is they were trying to make a record that sounded like Portishead but didn't sound like Portishead. And I think they did it.
What was all that about? Anyway, thanks for joining us for this Ivozzy podcast. In part 2 of this podcast, I'll be talking to Olu about the difference between Latin girls and Ukrainian girls, putting vodka in kettles, and what he wears in bed. By the way, DJ Olu's third choice of album was by Mad Villain. Don't forget you can get the workbook for this podcast at ivozzy.com. The workbook includes a transcript of this conversation in both English and Spanish, grammar exercises, and some key vocabulary and language points. Thanks for joining us. Bye!